Mizuzaki got the approval of her parents finally, and wow, did that robot animation short deliver. Let's talk about this. What is going on, guys? My name is DJ Miles, and I'm here to review the latest episode of Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. This is episode 8, titled The Grand Shibahama Festival. And before we begin with this review, if you can go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel for more anime content down the road. And now let's go ahead and talk about this, because wow, this is by far my favorite episode of Keep Your Hands Off the Eizouken. There was so much emotion happening in this episode and so much passion being poured into this project that, you know, we've seen the culmination in the episodes prior, talking about this animation short and the struggles on how we got to point A to the final product. But when they showed it off in this episode, just like the people in the audience in the auditorium, I was just engulfed in what I was watching, and I was so proud of these girls getting so far in the project that they poured their hearts into. And then you can see how everyone's contributions, no matter how big or so small, added to the final product. And I'm just so happy with how it turned out. And Mizuzaki, who would have thought, now that I think about this, this show is about Asakusa and, you know, our favorite trio here, but this show has delved a lot into the character development of Tsubame Mizuzaki and trying to get the approval of her parents into what she wants to do. We see her parents ultimately say in this episode, yeah, they were never satisfied with her acting or if it was always decent, but her performance in the animation world, that they can get behind, and because they see that's what she's really about, really makes it a tearful, emotional thing for me, that Mizuzaki's father wasn't really happy with her daughter's decision going into the animation, but it wasn't until they actually saw it for once, until they actually saw her passion being poured into this project, that got them to realize, oh shit, maybe the way that we were trying to teach our daughter, or, you know, lack of parenting, yeah, we weren't there around as much, and maybe if we actually saw it from her perspective more often, we probably would have been more supportive. So I'm glad we see Mizuzaki's parents and herself come together for this joyous occasion. And wow, what that club festival was no joke. We see every club fighting for the attention of others. Come here, come see this, come participate in that project. And it wasn't until Kanamori, of course, came up with the idea of, hey, we got to use Mizuzaki's fame here to grab the eyes and ears of everyone for this robot animation. Because if the robot animation didn't have the star power of a celebrity, there's probably a good percentage that no matter how good that short would have been, not a lot of people would have seen it, and it wouldn't have been deemed as a success, right? There wouldn't have been DVD sales, there wouldn't have been merchandise, right? And of course, the Eizouken Club wouldn't have made the money that they want to continue to put out more projects out in the future. And of course, with Kanamori making some cha-ching in the side as well, right? Something I also wanted to mention was just the great use and example of music and sound design. You know, music really sets the tone before the action and leading the audience along, right? This is something we hear from Asakusa herself, and it's really important that even when there's a huge tense fight happening, sometimes when you just let the music subside for a second, actually less is more in this example, and it would actually add more to what you're watching. Perfect example. Well, I think of like Dragon Ball Z, right? How many times have we seen those like ki blasts shot off, and you see the buildings and the explosion, and then when you see the dust settles, things get really quiet, and then it's not up until the dust settles you see the person slowly walking, whether it's the villain or the hero, and it adds so much more gravity to the situation, right? A good example in this show, when we see the crab fighting the robot, when there's no sound, it actually adds a lot more emphasis on the sound in a weird way, right? So just something I really wanted to highlight. And because the show always has to be so meta, in that as soon as they were done talking about that, we see an immediate example with the introduction of Tsubame's parents, where they now have a chance to go check out the cultural festival and see what their daughter is doing. But while all that is happening, they're playing it up as this mysterious, ominous music, and they're like, dun 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 dun, and here's her parents, and how should we react? effect, right? So it just, I love how meta this show can get sometimes, and they always do it to great effect. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, I just love how much passion was poured into everyone being involved in the Robot Club short. We even see the president of the Robot Club really just pouring his passion with the voice acting, and even when it was a little obscure and over the top, it really worked to great effect while you were watching the short. And not only that, when he was, man, I mean, I don't know about you, but I want this guy to be my hype man for everything going forward. You just see him running around, and even when he was taken away from the security at the end of the day, hey, he got his passion project out there, and he was so happy it was accomplished. But man, I need that guy to become my hype man for all my future YouTube videos going out, because wow, he was definitely the low-key MVP of this episode. But again, what makes this show so great was that last second, those last 20 seconds, when Tsubame's parents approach Kanamori and Asakusa, and they're like, hey, are you her friends? And they're like, no, we're comrades. And I'm like, wow, this show is so wholesome in what it wants to do and what it wants to tell. And the animation is just so beautiful. And who would have thought leading up to this robot short that this episode would have been the best one yet? And I would even argue if the episode ended right there, I think I would have been okay with it. But then I guess there's also a part of me thinking, well, then what happened with Asakusa? Because I really think she should be the low-key star of this show, right? If it started with her, I would like to see it end with her on a high end. Maybe this is now pretty much the cap off with Tsubame's character, and we might get some more resolution of whatever it may be with Kanamori and Asakusa, and maybe even some other people in this episode. But guys, let me know what you thought about this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more anime content. My name is DJ Miles, and as I always say, to be continued, take care.